This is your host, Tim Palladino, reminding you to please like and subscribe. And if you really dig what we're doing, please leave a review wherever possible.
Don't be arms crossed, that kind of thing. Just kind of be open with your hands and, just be you, and, wear what you want to wear. I mean, what you feel good in. That's like, you have a favorite green dress, wear that dress. I don't care if you have to wear it on all your days. If it makes you feel good, then you should wear it.
Today we have Jen Hecht from the Dating Advisory Board, and they take business strategies commonly used in the boardroom to help you apply the right actions to become the CEO of your love life. Jen asks, have you defined your core values and the core values you'd want to find in your partner? Successful businesses do this all the time. They have clear core values and mission statements to help their companies grow and evolve in the right direction. A big welcome to Jen Hecht from the Dating Advisory Board. My name is Tim Palladino, and welcome to the Entrepreneur's Hierarchy of Needs podcast. All right, today we have Jen Hecht from the Dating Advisory Board. Jen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's been too long since I've seen your face and laughed together.
I know. I love it.
I know. It's been, I feel like that's like that for a lot of people. So today, love is in the air. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, starting with our core values and creating them and using them to help us and know what we want, right? To be intentional about what it is that we're trying to get. So let's start off with talking about core values. How do you come up with core values in the context of dating?
Right. Okay. So think about it this way. So I was in business. I was a VP of a telecom company for 12 years and then they were sold. And, you were very particular of like who your clients were because you had to make sure what your product was offering actually was a fit with what they needed. You went in there, kind of looked at what the infrastructure, what's going on, and like basically fixed it. Right. So that's really, you're going in there but they all had core values and mission statements that made them very successful in their business. So for me, I was like, wait, that's the same thing in dating, right? Like if you don't know what you're offering, right, or what you bring to the table, vice versa, how can you be successful without really knowing what you want? I mean, you ask so many people, oh, what are you looking for in someone? Oh, I did market research. I mean, this is true. So it's this. And I was like, oh, I just want them to be funny, and I'm like, just funny? Like, that's it? I mean, that's obviously that's awesome. Yeah. Because who doesn't want to laugh all the time? I mean, I know I do. I mean, that's actually one of my core values, but but think about like integrity, do you align with spirituality or creativity? That's a big one for me. Intellectually, if you can't hold a conversation, with in the same kind of level, right? I mean, it's pretty difficult to kind of create that bond, I believe.
Yep.
So, a lot of people never really wrote down what they wanted. It's like, oh, well, whatever comes to me or, whoever, just, oh, I'll just go out for a walk and so-and-so is going to meet. No, it's not going to work because you are what you attract. So if you don't really know what you want, then you're going to attract probably the wrong person. And then, then what happens is then you get into these cycles, right? And I'll talk about childhood wounds and fixing that too. But basically, if you continue to, date those types of people, what happens is like you're having the same outcome every single time. You're like, I don't know why it's working. What's going on? Because you're not doing the inner work first, okay, to know what you want. And by doing that, by working on yourself, finding out what the triggers are, are these people, are you a people pleaser, right? If you're going in there and saying, oh, like, I just want to help everything because that is a childhood wound, right? That is, abandonment or attachment issues from a child. I mean, I know I was before I did the work, and then I was attracting narcissists and they were emotionally abusive. I mean, I'm talking the whole gamut, financially, all of it, right? So for me, I just thought, well, okay, well, how am I going to do this, right? So I did the work. I looked at myself. And here's the thing is if you look at people who go back to back to back relationships, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Because they're not learning from whatever, but also people don't want to work on themselves. They don't want to really difficult, right? They don't want to, well, something's wrong with me. Instead of turning it and be like, how can I grow to be a better person?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's how you have to flip it that way. Because if you just like, oh God, it's going to be so tough. No, it's not. It doesn't have to happen all in one day, right?
Yeah.
It takes time. I mean, we
And that
had
also
years,
takes faith to start.
yeah,
Like I
right.
know it was blind faith. Like I had to kind of lie to myself and be like, oh, this is going to be excellent. And then I did it and I was like, oh shit, it is excellent. Like
Right.
there is an energy behind what I'm doing and it's creating a new me. So it's hard to have that faith if you haven't had that experience yet before. So
Right.
I understand it's tough, but it's worth it, guys.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing, because then what happens is then you start, when you raise your vibration, as I call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You start attracting the people that are on that same frequency, so that you would be more aligned,
Yeah.
right? I mean, obviously, you have to go outside and see the world and be, you kid's not going to be like, okay, fairy dust is coming into your front
Yeah.
door knocking, and then it's like Prince Charming or whatever. So,
Mhm.
but you just, and that's the thing, it's hard to look at yourself, like you said, and say like, hey, like I got, there was things that I didn't even tap into, but I did a lot of research and listened to a lot of podcasts, read a ton of stuff, and that's the thing is, books, reading. I mean, going back, so we're in the pandemic, it's a year and a half, you had that much time to work on you, right? And so, because they're like, you're sitting in your own space, so you were forced to be in yourself, like, to be by yourself mostly. And so how did that sit with you? A lot of people, it didn't sit well, right? Because you can't sit, if you can't sit in yourself, right, and be by yourself, then you shouldn't be in a relationship, because you have those wounds, right? Like, but you don't know it, but that's why I said you can do the research. I mean, it's all over. I mean, it's all over TikTok too. So you want to research, they have great people on there. But go, like, here's the one thing I always say to my people. Like I said, okay, I can't meet anybody. I don't know what I'm doing. And I was like, well, okay, well, number one, just be yourself, right? You've got to be yourself. I mean, there's so many times I talk about the narcissists, and they started love bombing people in the very beginning, like, and just like push, and then the mask slowly falls off. But then they're just so mentally wrapped up in this, that and then it triggers childhood wounds, because they've asked you a million questions about you, so they can mirror it, right? So you just have to be aware of that. But I'd say here's something that you could try. It's Friday, right? You could try and go out to dinner by yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot of people.
It's weird at first. It's definitely weird at first.
Yeah.
I used to, I accidentally figured out this skill or whatever we would call it. I went to, actually, I don't even remember. It was the movie School of Rock with Jack Black.
Yeah.
I went to a movie by myself and I was like, I'm so embarrassed to be here. And this is eons ago. And but I from then it just built this I don't even know what to exactly call it, but a value to myself where, like, I don't need other people to complete the activity of fun. Like I can do what I want to do. And then that's what I think, going right to your point, that's what kind of grew my understanding of, I'm fun by myself. I'm looking for someone to add to my life, not someone to supplement something that I'm missing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I couldn't said it better myself. But that's the thing. But here's the thing though. When you start doing that, what can tend to happen is that you're like, oh, this is good. Like, I've got no drama. I've got no, and so it could go all the way. It's like, oh, well, I don't really want to do anything. I just want to, like, so, I mean, I just wanted to be by myself, and I do my thing. And those people are dangerous. No, I'm not in a good way. You know what I mean? Because I mean, like, I go hiking. I mean, we're just talking about this. Like, I go hiking in the mountains all the time, and I love it. But it's peaceful for me, because if everything is going crazy in my life on the other side, right, then I have to have a yin and yang, because for me, I have to recharge, and nature is one of them. I mean, it's just energy vampires out there. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, well, maybe they should work on themselves. They wouldn't be okay.
That's great. So when it comes to actually dating, what's your philosophy around, like, kind of failing forward, and to kind of backtrack and then create your core values from? Because if we don't know where to start, do you think dating is a good way to kind of, like, take notes on, like, how you feel and
I mean,
you want to build your values?
Right. And I think, well, now that everything is opening up, I mean, and, with the pandemic and people are out there dating again, I mean, people are forgetting how to date. I mean, people don't even ask people out anymore. I mean, they'll just sit there and stare. It's like, okay, well, are you good? I was like, hi, hello, how are you? Like, so, I think getting out of your comfort zone, which we talk about is you have to work, like, it still goes back to working on yourself. Like, and just, you never know unless you ask. You never know unless you try.
Correct.
You never know. Right. So if you say, like, you see some hot girl this weekend, you should be like, hey, and then just be like, Jen will be mad if I don't ask this girl out or whatever. Like, I don't know. This is an example. Right. And, so in order to, once you know your core values, and I have, it's on my website, thedatingadvisoryboard.com. It's a free download. So it's actually, it's a worksheet and you can do it.
Perfect.
So that's where you can start. And so doing that, but also once you do that, we can talk about dating profiles, because I think when I mean, obviously everybody is on the dating apps, right? I mean, some are like, I hate it, but secretly they're probably have an account. But it's kind of tricky both ways, right? Because if you are, you get on there and then you just go and, like, there's no matches, and then you get frustrated, and then you just don't go on the apps, right? Like, I know that's what I'm like, like, nothing would be on, I don't want to say it like that. It's just like, it depends on what app you're on, I think, to have better success. Right. Yeah. So you have to know what you want. Like, if you want a relationship, if you want, just hang out with someone or friends. I mean, they do have ones where it's just friends, which I would think would be where you should start. Right. Like,
I 100% agree.
I mean,
any date I've ever gone on, it's like, yo, would I want to go see a movie with this person? Yeah. Like, just be friends and just be casual, then take that foundation and build a relationship, a romantic relationship, not just an intimate relationship on top of.
Amen. Yes. If I had my bell, I would ring it for that one. I swear. But yeah, I just think that, I know people that the longest relationships they've had, they're like, oh, we were friends for years or whatever. Like, we were friends first. Because once you have that, like, as you get older and, things, like, the mental connection is where it's at, right? Because everything else fades away. So if you can have that kind of connection where mentally you guys are in sync, obviously you don't have to be just like each other. Obviously everybody's different. But you should always, be your authentic self, stay true to who you are, and, set these boundaries, right? So, you have to know what you want. Like, this part of the non-negotiables, right? Like, I don't want someone who cheats.
Yeah.
I mean,
pretty important.
Like, pretty important, but apparently some don't get it. No cheating, no lying, I mean, just like the basic concepts. I mean, you can go, further on. I mean, but that sets a healthy boundary. If you're on a date and you're like, I'm looking for X, and like, well, like, I'm looking for a relationship. They're like, oh, I'm not looking, I'm looking for something casual. To say, all right, well, it was nice to meet you. Yeah. Right. That's it. Because here's what happens. Then if you're like, oh, I really, really like this person, and they check off all these boxes, but that one that's the top of your list, like, well, maybe I can overlook it, right?
Yep, we concede. Like, yep.
Right. You know what they want, right? And then don't be upset when they're dating other people because you didn't keep that boundary.
Yeah. And it's an important thing in my mind. The way I kind of like set up boundaries and expectations, like, I have like a keystone list. Yeah. Where, like, if these aren't there, it's just total or a non-negotiable, right? I think that would be a more common term. Yeah. A non-negotiable list. And then everything else is like, all right, we'll figure it out, because sometimes I don't have the answer. Right. No, I've been married before. Yeah. And people ask me, like, do you want to get married again? I don't know. Probably not. I haven't really thought about it.
I mean, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, and we talk about this with my friends that are divorced and versus the single people. And the conversation always goes around, well, if you were married and you have kids and you don't want any more kids, like, well, what's the point? And I was like, oh, that's an interesting way to look at it. Like, and especially if they had a bad marriage, right? They're like, oh my God, whatever, being dragged through the divorce courts for years, something like that. But, or the other ones in the younger generation are not getting married or choosing not to, right? I mean, it's at 60% divorce rate now, something like that. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just interesting to me, I mean, is it the piece of paper or what, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I just don't understand. I don't understand why the government needs to get involved. Like, not to get on a pedestal, but like, I love you and I want to be with you, why do I have to have someone else looking over my shoulder and like making it legal? Like, I understand like there's, the tax implications and stuff like that, but let's just get common law. If like that's what really has to happen, but I just want to be with someone.
Right. Exactly.
There's no need for a $20,000 plus ceremony.
Yeah. And put that towards a house.
Throw a barbecue. Yeah, exactly.
Go on a trip. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is I think a lot, and you see like, oh, we just went to Vegas and got married because we wanted to buy a house or we, want to travel or whatever the case is. But, but there's still kind of old school out there, obviously.
Yeah.
So busy. But yeah. So let's see what else on that. On the core values part, I would say, just if you're going into a relationship, just know exactly what you want. And I think that is probably the biggest key to success. I mean, hands down. Sounds right. Yeah.
Just be intentional. I think intentionality is probably one of the most important things in getting anything that you want, Yeah. If you want a cookie, ask for two.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was younger and I dated, I haven't done much dating per se. Like I know a lot of people that are like serial daters.
Yeah.
What would you consider some of the best types of dates? Because I was always like very anti-movie and a dinner.
Yeah.
I always try and go for adventure. Like in Austin, I'm lucky now that I have a great woman by my side, but like all my first dates were like a hike or a walk. It's like, yo, let's get raw. Let's get sweaty and gross.
Yeah.
And talk about our life while our heart rate goes up.
Yeah. Like we're getting exercise and meeting people. Right. I mean, I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that was the thing, I was surprised. I mean, I did see people going like when I would hike, like they would bring the picnic baskets down, which is great because like going in the park, hiking, it's free. Right.
Yeah.
And it's free and you're in the nature and there's so many health benefits anyway, that's associated with doing that. But, you always want to have some sort of, experience, right? So have it, going, bowling, I don't know, going, but hiking, bowling, doing something, art painting. What is it called?
Mm-hmm.
Those things like you sip and paint.
Oh, sip and paint.
Yeah, sip and paint.
Yeah, that's one of my businesses actually in the Northeast. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I'm not an artist, but I try.
We used to call it drink by numbers, basically, because you would drink and then just follow the instruction of the artist.
Yeah, exactly. I know. There's palm trees and oh my God, it was like, nah, God.
Mm-hmm.
So, not a talent I have. But yeah, I think doing that and then, doing dinner or coffee. And here's the other thing, people say, well, I mean, I don't know about like, I think you need to have FaceTime calls, at least know that that's the person, right? Because some of these people are catfish. Okay. Oh, yeah. That's the other thing. You got to be really careful, especially women out there. And so I was just talking about this the other night. I was like, you need to ask if you kind of sketch or have a vibe that like, I don't know if this is really the person, right? Well, then say like, oh, let's hop on a FaceTime real quick, or let's schedule, a FaceTime, because it's also time, right? Like if I have to take the time, and I'm, getting ready and you had to drive or whatever the case may be. Right. And then it turns out that you lied, like that wasn't even the person. I swear, this is when I was in my 20s, like back when like Match came out. Right. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to this guy, the pictures and everything. I was like, okay. And I get to the restaurant. I'm like, it's not even the same picture. I'm like, I don't think you're the same dude. And he was like, oh, it's hilarious. Fine. I'm like, no, it's not.
Oh, it's fine.
It's fine. No, it's not.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Trying to be a Jedi about it.
God, I'm so annoyed. But
that's funny.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I got some stories. But yeah, so it was just interesting. But that comes back to like, well, now you already like, where do you think it's going to go from there? You already lied, right? It's not going anywhere. Like,
you're setting a precedent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a red flag, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. That was another conversation I've had with other people about dating. I don't know why people ask me for advice on it, but the advice I did was anything you do, know that it's setting a precedent for the future.
Right.
Like if you hold that door all the time because that's what you want to do, not because you want to impress her or him or whatever. Just be exactly who you are and, Yeah. And don't do anything outside of who you are unless you plan on making that commitment to be that person.
Exactly. I mean, I have my boys that hold the door, and it's like shocked. I'm like, well, why aren't your kids holding doors for people? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I'll take them to the spa, get their pedicure. I was like, because one day you're going to take your girlfriend, here to, get her nails done. Okay.
That's one of the biggest benefits I had in the dating world was my mom.
Yeah.
She taught me like what women are, what happened, like from a young age. Like she was very, very blunt about it, which is great. It was terrifying as a kid sometimes, right. but then it was like mom and I would have spa dates together, and the interaction would already be normalized by time it was my opportunity to be with someone.
Right.
It was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Awesome. That on top of, you ever hear the book Miss Manners? She made us read that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think so. Maybe if I saw the cover.
Yeah, it was basically an etiquette book.
Okay.
So now I know how to like set tables and serve and stuff, like all that kind of. It's just so fun. My grandma had
that. Like, and I'm like, I don't care. Why does the knife have to go over there? Like, why can't it? Like, what if I don't want to use it? What if I'm not using it?
We need this many forks.
Like, you have to learn how to do this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. But but to exactly your point though, like, that you're setting them up for ease, if you will. Yeah. Because that's what's going to be happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And every guy should go on a date with their mom and vice versa.
Exactly.
Mom.
Exactly. No, it's fun. We have fun. Like, my boys are getting older, and like, about to have my oldest is almost 13. Right. And so I'm like, he still likes to hang out. You can just see he's kind of, all on the, Call of Duty and his friends, and all you hear is screaming that comes out. They're like, what's going on? I'm like, but it's normalized now because that's all they do. Video games, and it's hilarious to listen to it. But I mean, I find
that's great.
So it's really pretty funny.
So when people are on these, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, so we're talking about dating apps, right? Right. So like how to enhance so you do your core values, you go through it, you do the inner work, right? I know it's hard, but you got to do it. What you want to do, like, here are some tips that I say to create your dating profile, right? Number one, have clear pictures. I can't stress that enough. And the first picture has to be you, right? Actually you, and smiling, right? I mean, so many times I go on these apps and these like sunglasses and they're all mad. I'm like, oh, that guy looks like fun. Let me swipe right. No, nice try. Like that kind of thing. So like, because nobody wants to date someone who's unhappy, and that's how you're showing up as your first impression, right?
First impression,
exactly, right. And then and then two is, so I would say keep 4 or 5 pictures, right? Because you just have one picture, chances are people aren't swiping on it. Because that, like, number one, catfish, that's probably not even them. Right. And then, but to have the pictures tell the story, right? So if you like hiking, biking, whatever, swimming, traveling to, wherever you go, like, tell the story, because that's you. That's what you like to do. So you want to paint, you do some paintings, or if you paint or whatever, right? But have fun with it. And the other thing is, you got to be really careful when you post pictures of like in a group with friends and not cover their faces, because it's at the Where's Waldo moment, right? Like, oh, well, maybe I like that one better. And then you get into that, like, oh, I thought you were
interesting.
And this guy or this girl, like, and that I actually, is that one single? Right. So,
that's interesting. Yeah.
You just have to be really careful with that. But, and the lighting is so important, right? I mean, you see these pictures are dark, or the filters are just off the grid, right? And, they're not even the same person, right? So
that always threw me off. Filters scare me.
I know. I see some of these transitions on TickTok, from before and after. I'm like, wow, like, they're artists that know how to contour. And, it's impressive. I mean, it really is. But, for the guys, it's just like I said, like, I mean, like, the one guy, like, wasn't even the same dude. It was like his friend or something. And I was like, I got catfished. Right. So, but yeah, I mean, I would just say, but also do not please post bathroom selfies. I don't need to.
Oh man, those are the best.
Yeah.
They're so hilarious.
Oh my God. I'm like, I see real clear how, tidy you are, or like,
Oh,
like
so
towels on the floor.
okay. So this is funny. So when I was on dating apps, I always, I obviously look at the person,
Mhm.
and then I just inspect everything around them.
Absolutely.
I don't know. It's probably
Absolutely.
not just me, but it's like,
Are you a
yeah,
Virgo?
I'm a
It
Sagittarius.
is close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's things I've seen, and then you'll see could be other people like in the mirror in the back. So then you're
Yeah.
like, wait, who's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it was floating around Reddit a while ago of like, I think it was like on a dating app board, where a woman took a selfie and like her kid like was in a diaper in the bathtub behind her in the bathroom. And it was just like the kid's like peeking around, but like she didn't know and sent it to someone. It was just like,
Oh my God, that's
yeah.
hilarious. And that's the other thing you talk about kids. Don't post your kids on dating apps.
Oh,
you know,
right. You would think you wouldn't have to say that.
no, you do.
Yeah.
Every time I see one, I'm like, oh, you look like probably a narcissist. Like, oh, look at me. And because I mean, you can talk about it in the description, right? You can say that, but they shouldn't be on there, right? Especially, or at least cover up their faces with a smiley emoji or something. But
right. Yeah.
I mean, just don't put that on there. Don't put them on there. And then and the description is important. I mean, and tell it your story, like a favorite like quote from a movie, right? That your favorite movie, not just the funny movie, but something that you like, right?
Yeah.
Because people are gonna be like, oh, that's my favorite. Remember this part, and you're like, oh, I don't know, yeah. Like you gotta run and watch the movie, but don't do that. So do something funny, quote that's hilarious. Because like I said, people like funny. And just be descriptive. Like it's only 2 or 3 sentences.
Yeah.
Right. But I'll tell you, people will not, I'll be with my friends and they're swiping and they're like, no description, probably not true.
Yeah.
Right. Not a real person. Right. And it could be, right. So, but in taking chances, like, and just meeting, different people, I mean, go on the dates, it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to create this like elaborate story of what could, oh, they check off all the boxes, then this is the one, that kind of thing. You just have to like go and meet people. Like it's, and just think of it and not put so much pressure on yourself. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think coffee dates are fine, right? Or whatever, unless you have been talking for a while. But I don't know. I mean, or dinner. I mean, it doesn't matter. But I mean, whatever you want to do. But I mean, just in case it doesn't go well, you're not stuck at a dinner or whatever for too long.
Yeah.
And
always, that's true.
It's true. But always make sure that you go by your, like you go there, not like, oh, we'll come pick you up. No.
No, that's where it gets creepy.
Yeah. Well, creepy.
So on the note of dating apps, the age-old question is to pay or not to pay.
I think you should pay. I mean,
I mean, so too.
Because you get more stuff to find out, like because like on Bumble, I know, right? That if you pay I don't know, it was $24, something like that. You can see who have liked you. You can't do that on the free. So that would actually save you time. Instead of swiping, you'd be like, oh, well, okay, this way. Or, I mean, you can see if somebody super swiped you, but I think that's good. Like you've got the high end apps like the Rayas and those are expensive. But I mean, I don't really hear people here talking about that one. I mean, it's mostly Bumble or Tinder. I mean, that seems to be the top 2. Yeah. I had a list somewhere that was just pretty much, I can't remember what it was. But yeah, those are the 2 that I hear about the most and talked about in social media as well. So
yeah, I'm a big proponent of paying. And what I realized when I was on dating apps, if I wasn't paying it, I was just doing the swiping. It was just burning calories. Like I wasn't really committed to finding someone and doing the research.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would say, but to each their own.
Yeah,
to each their own.
That's right. And then just try it. Like that's the thing is like you got some guys out there that they'll just they'll just keep swiping and swiping until someone matches, right? And that should be the same like we were just talking about, going and saying hi to someone or the same type of thing. So just you never know, just swipe right if you think someone could be a good fit. Like what's the worst that can happen? Because you don't regret it.
Yeah. Yeah, and just be honest. Like sometimes there was times where like I'd go on a date and I'd have to kind of go someone for a second just to figure out what's going over here. But I always see it's really funny because I always went back like when I found someone and be like, hey, I found someone. Just letting people know, like, just so I can get it off my chest.
Yeah,
Be like,
exactly.
I'm not really ghosting you. It was just a pause for a second to figure this out.
Right. But actually, that's a good point though, because that's amazing you did that. Most people wouldn't. And that's the problem with you getting ghosted, and then it's not about you, it's about them. That's
them.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like you break up, you do this, yeah, obviously, if you played a role in a part that wasn't good, then yeah, it's probably your fault. But for the most part, like, if they don't like you, just be like, well, I like myself. So, there's a better fit out there. So don't look at it as like, oh my gosh, it's the end. Cause that's where it gets tricky, and that's really attachment issues, right? Not feeling loved, wanted, nobody wants me, I'm not good enough. And all these self, loathing thoughts, running in a circle in your mind because, you got to get some confidence back.
Do you have any notes on maybe good ways to let people down? Cause that's always the hardest.
Yeah.
That's always the hardest.
Yeah. And it's just, you can just basically, keep it simple. Just like, I enjoyed, having dinner, or I enjoyed, talking to you, but like you said, or I met someone else, or, I think we'd be better off. Here's the other thing is you don't have to say like, oh, let's be friends. Cause that's kind of like, well, were you friends with them before? This was a dating app, right? Yes, people become friends, but like, there's no reason to be like, oh, we can just be friends. Cause come on, how long does that ever work out? It doesn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can just, be clear and simple. Like, it's just not a fit, but I wish you luck. Take care. It's really that simple. It doesn't have to be this like paragraph thing, or I just didn't feel the connection. And usually, that hopefully they don't, come back with, something crazy mean or something.
And if they do, they don't have your address, so it's okay.
Right. Oh my gosh, I love it.
So how long before do you think it's appropriate? How long before you can give a phone number during a conversation? So like what kind of what's the term I'm looking for? I'm going blank today. What kind of maturation, like maturing stage after communication? Yeah.
I think that, people some people just give it right away, their number or whatever. And then, after talking for, maybe a couple of days. And then what I would think would be interesting is, think about like nobody calls people anymore. Right. Nobody calls. That's funny. Right. And so I like, guys, you want to set yourself apart from the other people, pick up the phone and call or say like, hey, you want to FaceTime. I still think that's good to do that. Right. Yeah. You'll hear other people say, no, don't do it. Just go on the date. It could mess up the date. No, I don't believe that. I think that it's like saving, like, hey, maybe we're not a fit.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. There was actually the woman I'm with now, we needed to call each other because there's like, we were talking about 4 different things and it was about making the plan for the first date.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to just chat. And I think I actually started with a voice memo.
Yeah.
And then it turned into that call. But it's nice to hear someone's voice.
Yeah. And then
learn a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see, the tone, right. In their voice. But yeah, I think that's good, good. And obviously, open the door as we said before. But just be nice. I don't even know how else to say that. Not having some agenda. You can kind of sniff out those people anyway. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I guess clear and compassionate.
Yeah.
You don't, obviously don't be a jerk.
Yeah. Just be respectful.
Yeah.
And then, that's the thing is the other one is like talking about topics. Like, what do we talk about? Right.
Yeah.
At the date, especially the first date, you just want to get to know them. That's it. Don't even bring up the past, or their ex, like, oh, what happened with you and your ex, or, whatever. Like, don't go down that route, especially the first date.
Yeah.
It's not good. This is like interview process. Okay.
Yeah. I used to like not lead, but somewhere towards like the middle or end of the date. I'd be like, hey, I'm divorced. Just because like when I first got divorced, I didn't know how people would react to that.
Yeah.
It seems that no one cares, but probably not the appropriate time to talk about it.
Yeah. And you could say, were you married? I don't know. I just, because it goes back and forth. It just depends, but you can't go into like what, just say divorce and that's like, or whatever. And,
Yeah,
like,
well, I was volunteering it.
You were
Like, they weren't
volunteering.
even, yeah. So it was just like, just in case I spooked them or like it was like
Yeah.
against whatever.
Yeah, but that goes back to like, you're worrying about, you're going to spook them away. Well, you shouldn't be worried about what, you should be just sitting in your space and being like, this is me. Like, I don't have to prove myself to anybody. I don't have to make people like me,
right.
like you do
it's
or
as
you don't.
big of a deal as you make it sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. And me putting it out as a warning makes it seem like, oh, I'm being warned about something and I don't know. Terror. Yeah.
Right. And you're like, oh.
Yeah. Are there any topics that you would push towards people kind of talking about?
I think, I would say like adventures, like where's your favorite place to travel? Traveling is a big deal. I mean, especially now, like you just think like, okay, so we were in pandemic for a year and a half. Like, where are the top 5 places that you like to travel to or would like to go on vacation? Just to kind of like, or where have you gone? Tell me your top, 3 places, and then just talk about the trip, right? Or talk about that, like what you liked about it, right? And it's just some of the things that you like to do. Like if you like to hike, like that's like that's a big one, right? I'm just, like I said, people need to do more dates outside.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm telling you, I thought to myself when we were locked down, I'm like, I am shocked not more people are out. I mean, it got busier on my normal trails, but I'm like, this is the bar, this is the club right now. You only go outside to the park and walk. Yep. Like this is where you meet people, especially if that's what you like to do.
That's what I was gonna say. Is if you do more what you do, you'll meet more of who you want to be with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
it's funny though. I think that also in the dating, when you're talking to them, obviously listen, right? Because sometimes people get nervous and then they over talk, right? And so the other person can't get in anything. I mean, I don't know if when you get nervous, you talk, right? And then, like, oh wait, I've been talking the whole time. Right. And then, so just be mindful of that. Like don't step over when they're talking and just, we have all been guilty of that.
the nervous thing is interesting. And I'm attributing this to her being nervous, but one of the dates that I went on, actually here in Austin. So the girl that ended up doing an English accent in the middle of it, and then kept the accent for the rest of the date.
Stop.
And I was like, hold on. Like, what? Let's go. Like, and like, I was afraid to like ask her about it because it just got way too far. And I was like, I don't think this is going to work. it was one of my favorite dating follies.
Oh my God. I have a funny story. So I went out with this is a few years ago. I went out with this guy, super hot beast, right? And we're at a date. I did this at a stand-up comedy in Caroline's. I told the story. But and it's so we're on this date and he's like, oh, can I check your feet? I was like, check my feet. Like, I mean, I didn't know this was like, it was crazy. I mean, it was just like checking me out, like measuring my forehead. I'm like, oh my God, it was just not good.
That is wild.
Oh my gosh, is this really happening?
Like, what's checking your blood type? Teeth.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised I didn't get that question. But yeah, it was like, okay, something.
Like he measured your forehead?
No, like he was looking at like my forehead and then he was like, oh, like teeth. I was like, and then someone later said that was to gain like power or something or like a mental.
Yeah. Right.
Like, to be like, oh, like let's see what's wrong with you. Right.
Yeah. It's like kind of a negging.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a thing. Actually, when I was younger, I did, because I didn't know how to talk to women. So I had to figure out a mathematical system.
Yeah.
But luckily other people did. And I did like, kind of like the pickup artist kind of thing. But the weird thing is about that is they teach you how to, approach women and, get the woman to be interested in you, but they don't teach you how to be in a relationship.
Well, what did they say? I'm interested. Now I want to know what was some of the things.
Let's see if
that's good. That's the good stuff.
So it starts with let's see. It started with a question, like you value their opinion, right? So it's like an A or B question,
Okay.
but you set a false time constraint. So it's like, hey, my friend Samantha just got 2 pugs. It's a guy and a girl. She wants to name them Sonny and Cher. I can't let her name that. Name the dogs that. What would you name them? I got to get back to my friends, but I just wanted to ask you real quick while I'm waiting for my drink. Right. So you set that false time constraint. So they're like, yeah. So it's it worked.
I know.
It worked. That's the problem.
Now everyone's gonna do it.
It's so and I don't have anything against that because it's hard to talk to people.
I know.
It's as a guy, like it's weird, right? Because there's this precedent set in entertainment and in a lot of media where you have to buy a girl a drink or woo them with something fancy. Right. Like the art of conversation is kind of dead. And I think that's a kind of a fun way to kind of break the ice.
Yeah. No,
versus
that's
pickup
lines.
Pretty
funny. Yeah, exactly. Like, what are some of the worst pickup lines?
Oh, my favorite was, how much does a polar bear weigh? And they're like, what? Enough to break the ice. My name is Tim. And it's just like, dude, you are such a dork. I remember I actually said that. I actually said that to a woman at Mahoney's in Poughkeepsie, New York. And I felt like such a loser after I said it.
Let's see. But I would have think that was funny, and I would be like, "Oh my god, that's what you got!" Like,
yeah. I was so nervous.
But the thing is, you did it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it, I guess in my particular case, it lent to my my sense of humor because I like being silly. I'm silly all the time.
Well, that's good. You have to be. You can't take yourself, too seriously. I mean, no. I mean, there's people that are like, oh, don't laugh. Like, what are you talking about? You don't laugh. I mean, like, it helps your body to laugh.
Yeah. Did you see, speaking of being silly, I think I put it in the Maverick community, the Facebook group, the outtake video of the course that I recorded?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, I got to send that to you.
Yeah, send it to me. I want to see it. I thought you were going to say like,
because I wasn't even expecting it. And my editor sent it to me and I watch it all the time. I think it's the funniest thing. And it's like, I used to take myself very seriously. Yeah, like actually, when I met you, I was like going through this weird transition where I was a very, very serious business person, like work all the time, nothing's good enough. And then, working with, going to camp with you and meeting Yannick and all these all-stars that play so hard. I was like, hold on a second. Yeah. There's another way. Yeah. And, so I always try and impress. That's actually part of the birth of Eon. Right. Recreation is like, when I started to learn how to play, I was like, oh, I forgot. I'm still a child. Yeah. Like I still have that child love and curiosity and sense of adventure in me. So I posted that video just to remind people, to remind people, hey man, no one's getting out of here alive. Right. So have some fun.
Exactly. I mean, like with my kids, like we went to this water park on Sunday, like we do fun stuff. We go and, they like it too. We go scootering and run around, but like we went to this roller coaster. It was funny you say that. We went to this roller coaster. It's like a small, like 20, 30 minutes away. And they had a roller coaster. I haven't been on a roller coaster and I can't tell you how long, right? I went on there with my kids. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like a kid again, right? But it's that simple, like getting back to that's also healing yourself too. Cause I went down, I was like, I felt so happy. And I was in such like a, monotone, kind of mood,
there's a stillness. There's a stillness that joy brings us. And that's one of the things that obviously I found out a little bit too late, but like, just, I remember the first time that I smiled and like leaned back and like my body just kind of just released all of its pressure. Oh, yeah. And I was like, oh shit. So this is, you can do this anytime?
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
Yeah. And then someone also said, like, if you're feeling depressed, I mean, here's the thing is I love meditation. Okay. Just love it. Right. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is that I do is listen to binary beats. Right. Like Meditative Mind has like the best. I mean, that's like my go-to. Yeah. Write that down. But I mean, it does change your mood. I mean, you listen to different frequencies. There is a big change in how, I mean, you could be feeling like, oh my God. And then you listen to certain music. I mean, it's obviously there's music, but there's binaural beats with, other things on that too. It is a game changer. I mean, it's going to be more widespread as we get into, moving forward, forward thinking and, and spirituality and everything. But but I mean, it works for me, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's actually a big part of my book because it totally changed my world. Do you know? Have you heard of Brain FM?
No.
So Brain FM is binaural beats. And,
is it?
Yeah. So Dan Clark, I want to get
Okay.
him on the podcast so bad to talk about this, but
Yeah.
it's the same thing because once you start listening to it, you're like, this is kind of odd. And
Yeah,
then next thing you know, it's like a weird reset. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I don't have the vocabulary for it.
I mean, it's like, get your chakras right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, it's kind of it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm all about that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All about that.
Yeah.
When people are on dates or are trying to communicate with other people, how important is body language, and what would you suggest to the to-dos and not to-dos?
Right. I mean, obviously smiling is a big one.
Very,
Very big. But I mean, like, if you're talking, don't be arms crossed, that kind of thing. Just kind of be open with your hands, and, just be you, and, wear what you want to wear. I mean, what you feel good in. That's like, you have a favorite green dress, wear that dress. I don't care if you have to wear it on all your dates. And if it makes you feel good, then you should wear it. Right. Yeah. But don't wear something that you wouldn't normally wear, because then you're going to be uncomfortable, and it could be sensed. Right. You don't want to add. I think it will be. Yeah. Yeah. So, if it's, is this short, too short, or whatever, but it's, more cleavage. I mean, like, it's just, whatever your favorite thing is. Like I said, it's you, just be happy with, who you are. And just,
and I think you make a really good point there, where, like, you two things. One, you have to show up in your power.
Yes.
You have to, when you're getting dressed, make sure that it's your power suit. It makes you feel a certain way, which is authentically you, so you can express that. Even as a guy, I know guys do this. I've done it, where you try and dress based on what you think their opinion or desires are. Like, do I throw on a suit jacket? Oh, only if I want to. Right. Like, what? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it. Yeah. Dress for yourself. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Dress for they'll sense that. Yeah.
Business and dating.
Exactly.
Both. It's true though.
It's very true. It's very true, because we're pretty sophisticated mammals, and we pick up on a lot of things, micro expressions, all kinds of stuff. And especially as we get to know someone, it's just really important to be as comfortable as you can. And if you want to wear silly socks under your suit because that makes you feel better, do it. Do whatever you got to do.
It's a conversation starter too, right?
Oh, it's 100%. 100%. Yep.
100%. Yep. Like, oh, well, what other socks do you have? Like, yeah, it's good.
So before we head out, any last minute advice for people on exploring love, setting themselves up for success, what to do afterwards? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it just comes back to, you got to love yourself first. Bottom line. Amen. I mean, that is where it all starts. It starts with you. Do the self work. There's tons of podcasts on it. You can Google, you can YouTube, you listen all the time, and don't put so much pressure on yourself. That's the other thing, is that, and like I said, take yourself out to dinner and see how it goes. Because I can tell you, once you do that, you're not really going to care if somebody likes you or not. Like, because your confidence in yourself is higher. Right. Yeah. And you have more boundaries. And so I would say, like, just working on yourself and loving yourself, and keep doing self-care. That's a huge thing. And, just be open to it. That's the other thing. And I forgot to mention that, like, you got to be open to it. You can't just say, like, oh, okay, I'm going to be on the dating app, but, like, I really don't want to date. Right. Yeah. You have to be open to it. Yeah. So. And the good and the bad. The good and the bad. Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. It's all a learning experience. It is. And I think it can be fun. Like, once we remove the pressure from it, like, it's okay to make mistakes, and this is a process, and just make the best of it. Yeah. Absolutely. It's not as scary as everybody feels it is. You're just talking to another person. You talk to people all the time. Yeah. 100%. Good stuff. That's good stuff. Good stuff. Awesome. Yeah. Jen Hecht from the Dating Advisory Board. Thank you so much. Much love.
Yeah, I feel like there's a part 2 in the future. We have a lot
for
more
sure.
to go over.
A lot of
more
stuff to cover. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Good stuff. I appreciate you so much.
All right. You too. Thanks so much.
Thank you again for joining us. And if you like what we're doing with the entrepreneurial hierarchy of needs and want to show your support, the best way to show some love is to subscribe and leave us an honest review. We also have a Facebook group where we continue these types of conversations and so much more for all of our continued growth. I can't wait to see you in there.